Hello, my friends. Let's talk Mob Psycho 100. Mob from Mob Psycho is probably one of my favorite characters ever, even more so than weird shonen heroes like One Punch Man and others. The reason being is that Mob essentially embodies a central aspect of what it means to be autistic. Because of his unique mind that gives him psychic powers, he is completely incapable of understanding the unspoken rules that govern people's behavior in society. Despite that, he remains optimistic, both valuing those people who don't understand him, while always focusing on understanding those people and improving himself where he lacks. But at the same time, he has limits, and the stress of dealing with a society that doesn't even know it has unspoken rules dictating every aspect of behavior can and will overwhelm him. And the setting of Japanese society in which these unspoken rules are probably given more importance than in any other society, it becomes remarkably easy for Mob to reach that limit. Japan is a society that places an inordinate amount of importance on the phrase of kukyo yome, or to translate to an English equivalent phrase, read the room. It's a phrase that means adjust yourself to conform to the dynamics taking place around you, and it is a skill that is universally expected but never taught, because the people who expect it do it naturally. It is a phrase that means adjust yourself to conform to the dynamics taking place around you, and it is a skill that is universally expected but never taught, because the people who expect it do it naturally. They don't know how to teach that skill. However, thanks to Mob's family, he has a stable base from which to grow. His family accepts and understands him as he is, and they never expect him to change or suppress that fundamental aspect of his brain that makes him unique. Beyond that, thanks to their understanding, his brother in particular helps to remind Mob that the abilities he has, thanks to the brain Mob himself finds troublesome, are a good thing, and help to nurture him with the unwavering position that Mob is still entirely normal. Because they understand him, they can facilitate Mob's growth in the way that actually works for Mob, and not expecting that he just fit into how everyone else lives. Even the Physical Improvement Club operates in the same way as his family, because while not understanding him as a psychic, they have no interest in holding him to standards he can't fulfill. They are a goal-oriented community, and they come to value and respect each other through jointly striving towards entirely individualistic goals of building muscle. With a strictly non-violent yet self-preserving philosophy reminiscent of Jianghe, a word that references the philosophy that is held in many Chinese martial communities, they give Mob a social space of learning that accepts him. They don't value him on standards of conformity, and require that the social dynamics around them learn to accept Mob as they have. Personally, joining a martial arts school and learning Taekwondo fulfilled this same role in my life. Now, I don't have autism spectrum disorder. My experience with it has never had that degree of significantly disrupting my life to qualify being compared to the struggles faced by people who do. But it has caused me to struggle, and I have even had people come to hate me because my means of understanding them broke those unspoken rules of what ways of talking or behaving is considered kind and polite. Mob is the closest thing I've seen to what can be called an autistic superhero. He doesn't attempt to change or apologize for what is unique about him, but he actively recognizes what he isn't great at, and pushes himself to find a way to learn and understand those things in his own way. Not just in physically training his body, but in rationalizing out what he cannot intuitively grasp socially. Mob is too powerful for there to be any real tension in the action and the danger that he encounters. He's the most powerful psychic that has ever been, so of course no one can rival him. The tension of the show truly comes from seeing whether Mob will be able to maintain his principles of valuing and accepting those people who can read the room, even as Mob is continually assailed by those who manipulate, reject, or represent what Mob can become if he fails to stick to his own nonviolent values. I think I've said enough that this last point can be understood even if I don't delineate it. But Mob speaks to me in a unique way. This is because Mob represents a part of who I was as a middle schooler and a high schooler more than any protagonist ever has. He is a character who needs to specifically and rationally learn about the interpersonal dynamics of people in society, despite lacking an intuitive ability that everyone else seems to possess. He is a character who absolutely believes that these other people must be cared about and cared for, even in the face of that care not being reciprocated, and struggling with maintaining that idea when more negative and rejecting ideas would be far easier. One difference for me, however, is that my particular American 90s and 2000s culture gave particular value to the idea of not caring, being significantly cooler than caring. Not caring about what others think being this social ideal of what makes a successful individual in our individualistic society. The main difference, however, is that Mob actually has an answer for what is making him different. Mob knows how to verbalize that he can't read the room, but he can find his own way of understanding what they understand. For me, that way was philosophizing. My parents, my faith and my religion, my English and debate teachers, and my natural tenacity and joy, which the social dynamics of school tried very hard to beat out of me, all taught me how to philosophize, and brought me through continuous changes and improvements, even as many of the people around me see me as a stubborn, unchanging wall of absolutes. I didn't read the manga, but watching through Mob Psycho 100, I always looked forward to seeing Mob discover and live out his way of understanding, and I took pride as it reminded me of how far I've come and how I overcame those same struggles right alongside him. This hero gives an image to a phrase I've been saying for years to affirm the goodness of what makes me and many other people unique. I have autistic superpowers. Thank you for watching, everyone, and as always, stay true.